If you did want to chat more with Charlie, he is also going to be at the Mixer tonight. So if you already... Oh, goodness me. By the way, can I just have a disclaimer there? I'm only Bitcoin girl because when I first became Bitcoin girl, Litecoin didn't exist. So just saying, just saying. But we do have a Mixer tonight. If you don't have tickets, they are still available for purchase. Just go to the registration desk and Charlie will be around for that, as well as being around all day. So make the most of all these awesome speakers that are here and ask them all of your questions. Up now for our next keynote, we have Willie Wang from Abra. Willie Wang is the VP of Product and Engineering at Abra, and prior to this, he served as the VP and Senior VP of Engineering at eHealth Inc. He also served as the VP of Engineering for CollabNet, Cadesian, and was the CEO and founder of Emergence Software. Can you please give him a very warm welcome to the stage?
Thank you, Naomi. Good morning. Morning. It's great to be here. I'm very excited to be here, and thank you for having me. So today, what I want to talk about is how it is possible to actually have an open, global, and accessible crypto bank. And that is about to come to reality, so I want to talk about that. Okay. Give me a second here. They got to get the right slides. We good? All right. Thank you. So now let's first imagine that we're in August 2022. And let's imagine what's actually possible. And we're banking with crypto again.
Are you going the wrong way? It's high tech. It's tough.
It's this one. Okay, got it. All right, that was my fault, not his. So I just want to be transparent with you guys. All right, we're in 2022, and let's imagine what is actually possible. So in a place where there's unreliable electricity or very little electricity, we now have a student that actually has a solar device that at night he can actually continue his studies, homework, schoolwork. And this is actually possible right now. There's actually a device that exactly does this. It's actually called M-Kopa. It's actually used by over 1 million homes in Africa and all over the world. Now imagine that this family is unbanked, has no access to financial institution, but you know what? Everybody has mobile phones, right? They all have cell phones, they all have mobile devices. You can actually buy this right now in the store via cash or essentially using cash to buy this device. But what if this is not very affordable for that user? And what would be affordable would be some type of leasing capability, where through an internet device, you pay a leasing payment on a weekly basis. And if you don't pay the payment, then the device actually shuts off. Okay? Now, how is this actually possible if you were to roll this out over 100 countries, anywhere, anybody can use this, even if you don't have a bank? All right? So this is actually possible. So you could see the TechCrunch tagline to be something like global available solar pay-as-you-go device that's available in 100 different countries, for example. Now let's use another example. What about investing? How do you do micro-investing for anyone, anywhere, on any asset class via your mobile device? Okay? How would that be possible? You can invest in stocks, cryptocurrencies, and for someone, let's say, that's outside the US, they could even invest directly into the Dow Jones Index. Would that be possible? Okay? Now, we're in a crypto conference, so you guys already know what the answer is, right? So this is way in the future. And again, the tagline would look something like global availability of micro-investing to over 100 countries. Now, I would suggest that there are 3 key features that makes this possible. First, the solution has to be globally available. It has to offer a stable store of value, right? So if you currently look at even Bitcoin and Litecoin, there's a lot of volatility. Well, how do you use that for payment? When the prices, can change within an hour, 10%. How do you use that to buy a cup of coffee or any of these things, right? And the third, it's got to be internet-based. And so to make this a reality, what we really need is a open, global, and accessible crypto banking infrastructure that actually allows this to actually happen, okay? So now let me actually talk about macroeconomics and how the macroeconomic force could actually make this happen, actually bring about this global crypto bank into reality. So what I have here is a history of the list of huge hyperinflation as well as currency devaluation that's happened in the past. And the most recent one, we're just going through it right now, not here in the US, but it's actually happening in Venezuela for that country, right? They just hugely devalued their currency. And in the case of Zimbabwe, which has also happened in the last few years, you could see that there's a direct correlation between the amount of money supply and inflation and also hyperinflation. And Charlie actually mentioned this, right? In the US, we're doing exactly the same thing. So through what's called the quantitative easing, we have exponentially increased our money supply in the last several years. Now, I find it really funny because a lot of the detractors of crypto always criticize cryptocurrencies or virtual currencies, saying, hey, you guys are just making money out of thin air, right? Yeah, that's true. We're making money through code and programs. But guess what? Our central bank is actually doing an even better job at making money out of thin air in faster pace. This is measured in trillions of dollars, right? So they're actually doing a great job there. Now, we all know that this happens when the US actually got off of the commodity standard, okay? Where they based the money supply based on a hard currency called gold, right? So this is the gold standard the commodity standard that was based on. And that happened in the 1970s. And once that happens, you will see that the dramatic increase in the money supply. Now, we all know that this is not going to end well. Now, I'm not here to talk about politics and so on and so forth. But at some point, this is not going to end well. And I don't know when or where. I'm not here to predict it. But someone has to pay for all this at the end of the day, okay? So I believe, and we believe here at Abra, that this macroeconomic force could actually give rise to a new commodity standard, right? So when the next crisis comes, maybe in the US or somewhere else, there's a huge potential that a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin or potentially Litecoin or some other could become the new commodity standards, the digital gold, so to speak, that keeps the value of the other fiat currencies or assets. So this is an example of how this global crypto bank could actually come about through a macroeconomic force, okay? So at Abra, we believe that just as internet is going to revolutionize all these different industries that you see, Amazon in terms of bookstore, they're eating up all the retail stores, Netflix for movie rentals, we got Spotify, all these great companies in publishing, right? So what the internet did is it democratizes communication, made it very cheap globally, everywhere, it's easy to use. Well, we believe that blockchain is going to do the same thing. The blockchain would democratize transactions, and specifically financial transaction, and make it eventually, maybe not right now, but eventually cheaply enough so that it will be globally available, peer-to-peer, based on top of the current internet protocol. And Charlie mentioned it would be very hard to stop, right? The only way to do it is for China to build this great firewall. And guess what? You can still get around it. Okay? So this is what we believe. Now, I know that many of you here are thinking, okay, Willie, we heard all this before, right? All the crypto diehards like saying, oh, this will happen. But guess what? It's been 10 years. It's not happening, or it's not happened as fully as we want. Why is that? How does that work? Well, I'm no oracle, so I don't know for sure, but let me offer you a couple of thoughts. Internet started in 1973. Ethernet got started, okay? Now, the way Ethernet works is it actually connects the computers on essentially a single network. Now, in legacy Ethernet, you transfer a single data packet to all nodes on the network. Okay, so what does that mean? It means that, let's say you want to send an image. When you send that image just to one computer, it actually has to send that image to every single computer on the network. Okay? That's called broadcast. Okay? Now, essentially, Bitcoin, Litecoin, right now in its current stage, works pretty much exactly the same way. When you have a new block on Bitcoin or Litecoin, we actually broadcast that block to every single Litecoin nodes and Bitcoin nodes out there. That's what's happening. So if you were to go to the founder or the inventors of Ethernet, legacy Ethernet, and ask it, you know what, can you scale this to billions of devices all over the world? They're going to say, no, 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 that's not going to be possible. Okay? And so similarly, from a scale perspective, we have some scale limitation on both Litecoin and Bitcoin as well as other blockchains. Well, guess what? It took 10 years for TCP/IP to come about. So TCP/IP is the internet protocol that is the foundations of everything you're doing today, whether you're calling on the phone using voice over IP, you're serving the internet. That's the foundation. It took 10 years for that to happen. What TCP/IP does is take a single packet of data and is able to send it from point to point to point to different nodes. And because of this foundation, you're actually going to be able to have billions of devices all talking to each other. Okay? Now, interestingly enough, in about a 10-year period, Lightning technology is actually coming to play. And I would love to hear Elizabeth later on to talk about the Lightning and all the different payment channels. And in fact, in 2017, the first Lightning payment channel was started on Litecoin, roughly about a 10-year period. Okay? And I would say this whole Lightning, as well as other projects similarly, essentially is the TCP/IP for the internet. And that is going to bring about scalability and much higher transaction throughput and value for the whole blockchain space. Now, take another 10 years forward. That's when the World Wide Web actually became about, when you actually have websites and so on and so forth, roughly. And then also Netscape was born to commercialize the Mosaic browser, and therefore we can serve the web as we know it today. Now, I don't know what the next 10 years is going to bring about, but I will suggest to you that the blockchain is similar to the internet in terms of its technology prowess, and I believe that we will reach that internet moment. But this is a marathon and not a sprint. And if you look at the internet that took 30 years to get to where we're at, now we have Facebook, we have Google, and so on and so forth. I believe the same thing will happen to the blockchain. But it's probably going to take that trajectory. It may be shorter, who knows? But this is what I can offer in terms of when I think it's going to happen. So how do we get there practically? What's going to happen in the next 10 years? What is it going to look like? So next, what I want to do is talk a little about practically of what's happening today that's actually going to give the rise of this open, global, accessible crypto bank. Now, this open, global, accessible crypto bank, this whole platform infrastructure, is going to power three aspects. The first one is investing. This is actually happening right now. That is why all the centralized exchanges out there, as well as a lot of the other type of exchanges, are very successful. They're making a lot of money. So investing is already happening, whether it's speculation or investment, right? And I want to talk a little about decentralized investing. Cross-border payments and payments is in progress. There is no massive adoption at the moment, but it will happen. It's in progress and happening. And also, consumer asset finance will also happen on top of the blockchain. And there's so many great companies that are here that are working towards this problem, and I'm so glad we're all doing it together. So let me today focus just on decentralized investing, because I don't have time to talk about cross-border payments and consumer asset financing. And also, there's a bunch of other companies that's going to talk today about specifically about the payment space. So decentralized investing, I define it as anyone, anywhere, with a mobile device can invest in any asset class. And that's the power of using investing on top of the blockchain. And this is the mission of Abra. This is what we're working on every day and try to bring about for people globally to be able to actually do this decentralized investing. So how does it work? Now, remember early on I talked about how the features of the prerequisites of having this global crypto bank. And one of the key features there is the stable store value. The stable store value is able to basically peg a particular cryptocurrency to a USD that's stable. So you basically hedge away the volatility, okay? And so this is the concept of what's called stable coins, okay? And there's a lot of companies that's currently working on stable coins to allow for stable value, because without it, it's very hard to do payments. It's very hard to do lending and transaction because there's too much volatility in the underlying asset, okay? Now, there are 3 different ways generally to actually create these stable coins. The first way is a fiat collateralized pathway to actually do stablecoin. So if you heard of Tether, you heard of True USD, this is how they do it. So on a high level, for example, for Tether, what they do is for one Tether token, they basically say it is stable and pegged to 1 USD. Now, how can you trust that Tether token, it is actually in fact 1 USD? Well, they say that we go and buy 1 USD and we'll put it in some trust somewhere or escrow somewhere. And this is why there's a lot of articles talking about, is that really true? How do we know that they're actually buying the US dollar, right? So this is more of a centralized way to actually manage the stable coin. True USD similarly, but they claim that they're more transparent, more auditing, and so on and so forth. So that's one way to create a stable coin. The second way is what's called a crypto collateralized. And this is how Abra actually creates a stable coin, which I will go into in detail how we do it. You also have DAI is also using this method, different than Abra, but using crypto. The basic concept here is that if you hold USD, what we're actually doing is Abra is actually giving you a crypto to represent the value of USD. Okay? So that's how it works in terms of how Abra does it. And finally, there's non-collateralized. And usually, this is some type of algorithm that actually manages the stablecoin. So if you look at the Abra app, and feel free to download it, we offer the exchanges of 28 cryptocurrencies as well as 50 fiat currencies. So when you first use the Abra app, it's just like using a lot of different trading sites, E-Trade or something else. The first thing you do is you actually move your money, let's say from your Wells Fargo Bank of America account, into the Abra app, right? And once you move the money to an account, then you can go and buy Google stock or Facebook stock and so on and so forth. So in the same way, you transfer your money into the Abra app. Now, Abra is unique in the sense that we are a non-custodial wallet, in the sense that we're not touching your money. The private key, which controls who can access and spend your money is actually held on your mobile device. It's not held in some bank that we have. We're not holding the coins for you. We're not holding your private key. So it is actually on your phone. And so that's why we need to have stable coins, because when you actually transfer money into Abra and you first hold it in USD, that has to be stable and pegged to the value of the USD so that you can then use it to buy other cryptocurrencies or other assets on the Abra phone. So for Abra, all of the fiat currencies that we offer, whether it's USD, pesos, are all in a stable coin that's pegged to the relative value of those currencies. And for the cryptocurrencies, we also, for some of them, use the concept of the stable coin to actually create these synthetic cryptocurrencies. So for example, when you actually buy Monero on the Abra platform, we're actually using another cryptocurrency to represent the value of Monero in that example. So not all of the cryptocurrencies are native. They are using this concept of stablecoin. Okay? Now I'm going to go and talk in detail how we create these synthetic assets and then explain why this is so important about bringing about the global crypto bank. All right, so how does this work? Now, I know I'm going to get lots of questions on this, and I'm not going to have a Q&A session after the talk, so feel free to find me after the conference. I'll be here all day if you have any specific questions on this, okay? So right now, Abra can, we use both Bitcoin as well as Litecoin for collateral. And in this example, let's assume from a math perspective, make it simple, one Litecoin is $200. This is the good old days when Litecoin is still at that value. It will return, but this is just a couple of months ago, all right? So the first thing you do is I'm going to transfer $200 USD from my Wells Fargo account into the Abra app. Why do I want to do that? Because I want to then use that $200 in the Abra app to buy Litecoin, or to buy Monero, or to buy Bitcoin. That's why I'm doing this, okay? So I transfer $200 USD to the Abra account. So what happens at that moment? At that moment, what happens is we take your $200, we actually exchange it for one Litecoin. And we will put that Litecoin onto your phone, on the private key on your phone. Okay, this is not, we don't carry it, we don't store it, we don't touch your money. So it is on your phone now. You got one Litecoin. Okay? That Litecoin enters into what we call a multi-sig contract. Okay, this is part of our smart contract technology that keeps your money safe, as well as making this all work. So now you got one Litecoin on your phone that represents the value of $200 US. Okay, so park that idea away for a second. Now separately, what we do on the Abra side to make sure that irregardless of the price movement of Litecoin in terms of volatility, at the end of this scenario, everybody's happy. We go out and we borrow one Litecoin. We borrow that one Litecoin and we sell it for $200 USD, and we store that USD somewhere, okay, in an escrow or in a trust. Now, you as a user have $200 USD on your phone, okay? And you can now buy Monero, buy Litecoin, buy Bitcoin, or at some point you may want to withdraw that USD back into your bank account. So I'm going to talk about how that happens. So when I withdraw that $200 USD out of my Abra wallet, well, guess what? Litecoin price dropped 20%. So now, Litecoin is at $160. And you're only holding one Litecoin. But before you had 200, now you have 160. Well, how does that work? How do we make sure you're whole? Okay? So when you withdraw the money into your bank account, what happens is Abra will actually give you 0.25 of Litecoin. So you now have 1.25 Litecoin. And when you sell that 1.25 Litecoin, that equates to $200 USD. You withdraw it, put it in your bank account, you're good. Now you may be asking, wait, so that doesn't make sense because Abra is just giving free Litecoin to people, right? Well, remember earlier I talked about how we borrowed one Litecoin, we sold it for $200? Well, at the same moment, what we'll do is we'll take that USD $200, we can now buy 1.25 Litecoin. Okay? And then we take that 1.25 Litecoin, the 0.25, we gave it to you already. We made you whole. You're happy, right? And the other 1 Litecoin plus interest, we'll give it back to the lender. Lender's happy. Abra's happy because you came in, you bought some Litecoin or Monero, transacting in our system. Everybody's happy. Okay? So this is how we use a crypto collateralized method to actually create the stablecoin. And the reason it's called crypto collateralized is because we're actually giving you a crypto that represents the value of something else. In this case, US dollars. Okay? So that's how the whole system works. Now, what I have explained so far is the simplest example of how to hedge away the risk and volatility of the crypto so that there's possible to have a stable coin. Now, there are very many different ways to actually do this. You could do it via a futures market. You could do it from a lot of different ways. So this is not necessarily exactly what we do, but I just want to explain this in a way that at least you have a high-level concept of how this all works. All right, so what do we learn here? And how does this give rise to a global crypto bank? Well, let's think about this. Number one, what I just talked about is that crypto can now represent another asset. Now let's think about that for a moment. We took crypto and made it represent USD. We can actually take crypto to represent another crypto, creating synthetic cryptos. We can use crypto to represent the value of a Dow Jones index. We can use crypto to now represent the value of a stock, of bonds, baseball cards. Okay? So this is actually immensely powerful because now crypto is not just crypto. Crypto can actually represent real-world assets. So if you think about the utility of whether it's Bitcoin or Litecoin or cryptos, traditionally people talked about the utility of crypto as store of value. That is absolutely true, and that is great. Because there is no other technology that I know out there that you can put $10 million in a little ledger device, you can put it in your pocket, you can go anywhere you want, just make sure you don't tell anybody about it, and you can spend it, right? Great store of value. Awesome. Cross borders, absolutely. But guess what? Our hypothesis is that just the utility to store value is not going to bring about a global crypto bank. Utility to store value will bring about investing because people want to buy it and store it. But when you store it, you're not really using it. You're not exchanging it. It's a store of value, right? Of course, there's some exchange in terms of transferring, moving somebody. But that is not going to get to the point where you're going to buy coffee with it. That's just not how it's going to work. And a global crypto bank is not come about just because of the utility of a store of value. Store of value will bring about custody service because when you store lots of it, you want to have a safe way to actually store all these digital assets. So you're going to have custodial services, cold storage, and all those things that will happen, but it's not going to bring about global crypto bank. But what we have here, and again, lots of different companies working on this with the concepts of stablecoin, is another utility. And that utility is the ability to not just do store of value, but rather using crypto to represent another kind of asset in the real world, okay? And that actually will bring about a crypto bank, and let me explain. And the reason is that at scale, if you're now transacting or doing, for example, you're in Venezuela, and you want to put all your money in USD, right? Instead of your local currency, you could do that. So now lots of people are hedging it to USD. Well, guess what? In order for us to do that, for Abra to do that at scale, Abra would need lots and lots of cryptos because we're giving you that crypto as a collateral to represent the value of the other asset. So where is Abra going to source or get all these cryptos? How are we going to get it? Well, one way we could do it is we could ask all of you here. We could say, hey, would you deposit your Litecoin to Abra and we'll pay you interest? And we can then use your Litecoin as the collateral to then facilitate all different types of assets, creation, synthetic assets. So that's one way we could do it. The other way we could do it is we could lend it from or borrow it from institutional investors. There's lending that can happen, or from hedge funds that have lots of cryptos that instead of just sitting there, can put it to work, okay? So what am I talking about here? What I just stated is the foundation and basics of what a bank actually does, right? Users deposit money. And what did the bank do? Bank then
uses the money. No, they don't. They don't. They create money out of thin air. They do not loan money that's on deposit. We all know that.
Sure, right? and then it gets lended out, right? So this whole interaction where the stable coins in a crypto collateralized way, where it will require lots of cryptos, will actually start to facilitate this creation of this global crypto bank, okay? And so this is how, right now, all these different forces could come together and make this happen. And so how does Litecoin play in all this? Well, we already know, if you look at the 3 core features, the crypto is already globally accessible. There's a lot of great exchanges out there, a lot of global liquidity. Now, there's some countries that are not friendly to cryptos. I think in time that's going to improve. So that's already there. Stable store value. Lots of different projects are working on that, and that's already the reality. The blockchain is already internet-based, peer-to-peer. And so what we could see is that with Bitcoin, if it becomes a new commodity standard, that could be the reserve currency that essentially lies underneath the other assets. And Charlie mentioned this regarding Litecoin. Litecoin has much less mining fees, much faster transaction times. So it could be the payment currency that complements Bitcoin as a reserve currency, more for everyday use. So this is how essentially a global crypto bank could come about. All right, so again, I will be around today. If you have any questions, feel free and come grab me. But thank you guys for letting me talk a little about how the crypto bank is possible.